Well, this is Friday, so it's the final recap for today. So I came to school late this time while preparing a bunch of fish and salmon for my lunch, but thankfully I was not marked absent as the teacher was busy helping the class. It was mostly questions about cuánto tiempo hace on paper, and I had to answer it. It was mostly easy. Obviously, the teacher told us to use legit answers, so I had to change like all my answers since I used ridiculous answers. Like it's been like 90 years since I finished a given assignment on time, for example. Anyways, there was a substitute today, as I was saying, and the main teacher, since he was absent today, said paper only format due to AI stuff that he's been complaining about. I heard more about the rumor last week and how it's been spreading to Texas, New York, and Arizona. For PE, this was our daily walk every Friday, and after that point, we had a volleyball game. In the game, it was fun because as I entered with the other team, like right outside the court to inside, I ended up having to serve a ball since it was coming right out of the court, and I served it to the other side, but someone ended up bumping into me along the way, but I was able to get over it anyway. The game was mostly fun, and I definitely wore sunscreen during this period since it was super hot, but everybody had their moment. We missed, we gained, so forth. For science, I handshake to my friend nearby, and as for this period, we had more notes about fronts, air masses, and how these types of things work, especially in hot, humid area, your body cannot sweat as efficiently. I learned how my teacher was once in a sports game in Dallas, and due to a polar vortex that was going on, it was snowing there. And during the notes, obviously, two kids were also watching YouTube distracted. Obviously, in Dallas, when it comes to polar vortexes, the location will depend because I don't know where that sports game was. Later on, we did another ed puzzle assignment, and the teacher assistant in the back as we were working on talked about how their curriculum no longer does like memorization or study skills or anything like that. For history, this was our project overview today that the teacher said talking about artifacts and what we're going to be doing for the project. And of course, the tests are typically as very small, so it was a little annoyance to be honest. And we did a worksheet on what our artifact will be, and mine was the Maran taxi and how it's going to be 3D printed or either printed using like origami stuff. He said the project must be done at home as it's sidelined mostly during class. And I finished a paragraph for it. I did my project for it. And later on, I told my partner that he should be taking one of the boards home with him so that we don't have to compete for them later on. Also, haste from the project document that I've made, and so it's much easier for us. Anyways, the teacher did not give board measurements, so for future classes, I just took a picture just in case. For lunch, I decided, since my friends sat somewhere else this time instead of the cafeteria, to go ahead and take another visit to an old friend group whom I have not visited in a long time. Credit to the ones that I do know there too. And other than a simple conversation about fish, I mean, a lot has changed since then. I mean, people do. It's a great event of social plate tectonics, as I always say, because I've seen it all throughout the year. People move around for their own interests. When a group gets big, it eventually becomes smaller. Not because people hate each other, but because people move naturally to where they want to be. And that's not wrong, but it's an important fact that I think we should also know. Anyways, I also heard that people also could not read my friend's handwriting, as they saw on the post I made like a few weeks ago. Anyways, for English, I was gonna bet 13 cents today that there's gonna be a substitute teacher, and the tip jar of my teachers today was closed. So we had two assignments, Common Lit and a German World War II worksheet. And I jokingly said that one of the classmates whose name Ruby should be the teacher today, and everyone was funny that we're gonna like throw a party or something. It was kind of funny, but eventually a big happy male teacher came in for a substitute. The substitute essentially was chill. He said, "Follow rules, follow us as if we're the same teacher, and then have fun." That's it. Mostly chill environment, and really not too much going on at this point. Oddly enough, for the paper assignment, a girl next to me used my Chromebook, which I found odd for answers. Since I actually found it really easy to answer the questions on paper, since there's already a lot of, so maybe just people who read a little differently. The poem for the assignment was First They Came, which is about World War II. And I saw my friends throw a mini bottle of lotion all across the class, which sometimes they do, like the lipstick ones that you'd always see. Anyways, for math, we did a final worksheet overview again regarding shapes, and the teacher showed an example on how to do it. Unlike Thursday's block schedule, it was much easier to understand since there were explicit instructions and they were given. We also lined a Greek graph along the way, and we multiplied original points by the scale factor for both x and y axes. And the teacher showed two concrete examples on how to do that, and I was able to do the rest of the assignment later on. Post explanation is that the teacher, interesting situation is that after the examples, she said to a student, "You didn't write it? That's embarrassing." And then the teacher interrogated the fake guy all about it. And as I did the work, though, of course, my friend copied off of me, but he writes more in a Russian style, so it was literally impossible to read his work, even when I was done. So I just hid my paper when I finished up my paper so that he can learn to do things himself, because it's also hard to like read his stuff. Then again, I talked to a friend later of mine post dismissal in the library as I finished up my math assignment. Simple conversation. I finished up my math. Then later on, I went to a restaurant with my mom's family relative, and it went mostly well. But right after I left eating, I did see an old friend of whom I was with at least months ago, at least back in the benches outside. Or I think I definitely saw them in this time. I'm not sure though.